Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I'm going to be reviewing Gates of Eden by Ethan Coen. This is Ethan Coen's first short story collection. I have been incredibly surprised in just how brilliant it is, how well crafted it is, and I have to say that I didn't actually anticipate that it would be. I have been the worst kind of reader in that even though I really enjoy the Coen brothers films, it's quite easy to see that they are stylistic, and when I have read Ethan Coen's short plays I have said the same thing, that they have this stylistic dark black humour. Same sort of thing was happening with the first few stories in this, and I was very critical, and I was thinking, I know that writers have their own styles and writers have this way of writing that makes every book uniquely theirs, but I was being very critical of that here because I was like, this is just, it's a gimmick, and I was very horrible in that I was thinking it was a gimmick, and I was thinking that Ethan Coen had produced this book and it had been published simply because he was Ethan Coen. Now I have to say that I was wrong. I am quite proud to say I was wrong, and they were published because it's Ethan Coen, but it's not a bad thing, and I was seeing it as a bad thing. When I read Victoria Wood, they're incredibly stylistic of Victoria Wood, and you can tell that they're her words, and then reading it is as brilliant as watching it, and the same can be said for Alan Bennett. Reading, listening, watching, it sounds like Alan Bennett. And then with Ethan Coen, I was being the worst reader because they sounded like Ethan Coen, which really, as a fan of their films, I should have liked, but as a reader I was like, no, this is wrong, but actually it works. One of the great things about Coen here is that he experiments with form, and he experiments with the short story, and his dark humour and his black humour actually means that the reader can be immersed in ideas that they wouldn't necessarily be immersed in other fiction, and it also provides snapshots of life that, although incredibly poignant at times, are also, you can understand them. And there's a story in here called The Boys, a short story that kind of deals with a parent's disappointment, and although you are feeling like this parent shouldn't be disappointed, you can really understand it, and you can feel this empathy and sympathy for all the characters within that short story, and it was very evocative. And that's the thing about these stories, even now nearly a fortnight after finishing them, I can still think back to the stories and remember moments very vividly, and that's another thing he does, because the voices in this book are quite diverse. The voices stick with you, and the voices provide this gateway, and it's easier for the reader to become immersed in a story if they get on with the narrator. And here, even though there are some terrible people, they are narrators that you can get on with, and Ethan Coen presents them in a very brilliant way. You get a really good snapshot of America in this book, and the different countries, the different accents, dialects are all present within this book, and they're also experienced with more short plays. Well, I don't believe that they are short plays, they are short stories, but they are written in a script format. I think that it really works for the short stories because it added this mystery, and again, that was where there was more experimentation with form, which I always think is a brilliant thing, and you know that I really enjoy experimental writers. The ear on the cover makes perfect sense to a short story. It's an incredibly dark, brilliant short story that is humorous and is ironic, and it's one of those short stories that you have to read. That story's called A Fever in the Blood. I don't know whether it's available online, but if you can find it, if you can read it, listen to it, it's a brilliant short story, along with The Boys, that I do think should be read. There are some very standout stories in here that mean that it's a collection that I'm going to reread. It doesn't really take much unpicking. There are stories that range from poignant to hilarious. There are stories that will lift you up, they will break your heart, they will do all of those good things. It's not a collection to be read to fill up a Goodreads goal. I think sometimes any sort of reading goal, you can really forget that books are meant to be read, and they are meant to be absorbed, and they are meant to make you think, and this collection really did that. Ethan Coen's Gates of Eden, if you can find it and read it, I really recommend it, and until next time, that is all.